So hello friends, so in this video I am going to explain that is why does the blood always remain in a liquid form in a normal physiological process. Now, but before knowing this you should know some of the key points. Now, the first key point. So for knowing the first key point, so please see this diagram. So by seeing this diagram, so you can relate that it is a diagram showing the clot formation. Now, and during this clot formation, so you can relate that the blood is in the solid state. The blood is not in a liquid form. So please remember that during the blood clot formation, the blood is in the solid state, not in the liquid state. The first key point. And second key point, so please see this diagram. So this is the diagram showing the normal laminar blood flow, and see that in this normal laminar blood flow, the state of blood is not solid, it is the liquid state. So please remember that during the normal laminar blood flow, the blood is in the liquid form. So what are the key points you should remember? The first key point is that during the clotting formation or the clotting process, the blood is in the solid form first, and the second is that during the normal laminar blood flow, the blood is in the liquid form. So these two key points you should remember, so that you can easily understand that is why does the blood always remain in a liquid form in a normal physiological process. So friends, see that the key points, that is the blood is in the solid form when blood clot formation is done. So this is the first point that I mentioned, and also that is the next point is that is the blood is in the liquid form when it is flowing in a normal laminar way. So this is the second key points. So friends, now I am going to explain what are coagulants and what are anticoagulants. Now, so first let's discuss what are coagulants. But before understanding coagulants, you should understand that is what is coagulation. So friends, so see this diagram. So this is the diagram showing that the blood vessel is damaged, and with response to this blood vessel damage, that is bleeding occurs. So this is a pathological condition. Now, so therefore with respect to this, so you have pathological injury, that is a process occurs, and see that through this process a stable clot formation is done, and this stable clot formation prevents the further bleeding, first thing, and also repairment of the damaged blood vessel is done. So a process by which a stable clot formation is done, and this stable clot formation prevents the bleeding and also repairment of the damaged blood vessel is done, and that process is known as coagulation. So simply remember that in coagulation there is a stable clot formation is done, and this prevents bleeding and also repairment of the damaged blood vessel is done. So this is the process called coagulation. Now you can easily understand what are coagulants. So the substances which do or which favor the process of coagulation, they are known as coagulants. And now the coagulants are platelets and clotting factors. Now I have given you a video in the I button and a description, and please see that video, and in that video I have explained that is why the platelets and clotting factors, they are known as coagulants, and how these platelets and clotting factors, they help in the coagulation process. So only at present, please remember that platelets and clotting factors, they are the coagulants as they favor or help in the process of coagulation. So these are all about coagulants. Now what are anticoagulants? So the substances that is which inhibit the process of coagulation, and those substances are known as anticoagulants. And anticoagulants are antithrombin 3, protein C, protein S, heparin cofactor, and plasminogen. And all these factors, so they act as anticoagulants because they inhibit the process of coagulation. So these are all about coagulants and anticoagulants. Friends, see, that is about definition of coagulation. That is the process by which a stable clot formation is done and the repairment of damaged blood vessels is done, and this stable clot formation prevents the bleeding, and that process is known as coagulation. So in coagulation, a stable clot formation is done and also repairment of the damaged blood vessels is done, and due to this so here that is the bleeding stops finally, and this process is known as coagulation. So here, and also water coagulants are the substances which favor or do the coagulation process are known as coagulants, and coagulants are, so here, platelets and clotting factors. Now here definition of anticoagulants. So here the substances which inhibit the coagulation process, and these substances are known as anticoagulants. And what are anticoagulants? So these are the names of the natural anticoagulants. So here protein C, protein S, antithrombin, plasminogen, and heparin cofactors. So these are the natural anticoagulants. So here present in our body, and these are the natural coagulants present in our body. So friends, so now I am going to discuss, that is, why does the blood remain in a liquid form in a normal physiological process. So there are many factors which govern this process. The first factor is the balance between coagulants and anticoagulants, first factor. Second is that the release of nitric oxide by endothelial cells, and the third one is the normal laminar blood flow. Now in my further video, I am going to discuss each part in details. So please stay tuned. So first, so here balance between coagulants and anticoagulants. So see that in a normal physiological process, that is, we observe that no abnormal clotting is done. Why? Because coagulants and anticoagulants, they are in equal amount. So the concentration of coagulants and anticoagulants, they are equal to each other. As a result, that is, no abnormal blood clot formation occurs in a normal physiological process, first thing, and also that is the normal laminar blood flow is maintained as no abnormal clot formation is done. So simply remember that in a normal physiological process, since the concentration of coagulants is equal to the concentration of anticoagulants, so no abnormal blood clot formation occurs, and also the normal laminar blood flow is maintained. Now, if suddenly a clotting injury or any bleeding occurs, so here in that case, that is the concentration of coagulants is more than the concentration of anticoagulants only up till the bleeding is occurring or the coagulation process is being done. When the bleeding is cured and the bleeding stops, then again the concentration of coagulants becomes equal to the concentration of anticoagulants, so that no abnormal blood clot formation done and the normal laminar blood flow is maintained. So simply remember that in a normal physiological process, both the concentration of coagulants and anticoagulants, they are equal to each other. As a result, abnormal blood clot formation occurs and the normal laminar blood flow is maintained. So this is how that is balance between coagulants and anticoagulants. So here that is maintains the blood in a liquid form. So this is the explanation of the first factor. So see that. So here balance between coagulants and anticoagulants. So see that in a normal physiological condition, the concentration of coagulants and that of anticoagulants are in a balanced manner. So therefore that is no clotting nor clot formation is done. So the normal laminar blood flow is maintained, and this normal laminar blood flow, that is always keep the blood in liquid form. And also one extra information, that is you should know that this, so here that is the coagulation, so here that is the so here coagulants concentration is greater than anticoagulants concentration only during clotting formation, and after the clotting formation, that is both the concentrations become equal to each other. So these are the factors, so here by which that is balance between anticoagulants and coagulants. So here that is, these are the factors by which balance between coagulants and anticoagulants. So here that is keep the blood flow in a normal a laminar way, and due to this maintenance of the normal laminar blood flow, that is the blood always remains in a liquid form. So this is the here main region by which that is balancing factor. So here that is makes the blood in liquid form. So now I'm going to explain that is how this release of nitric oxide, so here that is affect the blood flow, and how this release of nitric oxide, so here maintain the blood in a liquid form. So the first region is that this nitric oxide causes vasodilatation of blood vessels, and then this vasodilatation of the blood vessels, so here increases the blood flow, and due to this, that is the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the tissues is also increased, and also that due to this vasodilatation the blood flow is enhanced, so the normal laminar blood flow is done clearly. So as the blood flow is done in a normal laminar manner, so the blood tends to be in a liquid form. As I already mentioned in the starting that when the blood is in the normal laminar blood flow, then the blood remains in a liquid form. The first region is the vasodilatation, and the second region is that this nitric oxide, so here that is the prevents the adherence of blood cells to one another. So since this adherence of blood cells with one another is prevented, that is the blood flow is maintained and the blood cells that is always moved in a normal laminar manner. So the second reason is that the nitric oxide prevents the adherence or sticking of blood cells with one another, and due to this, that is the blood flow is not disturbed, it is well maintained. So therefore that is the blood flow remains in a normal laminar way, and as the blood flow remains in a normal laminar way, so in that case also the blood tends to be in a liquid form. And also third thing, that in this way that is nitric oxide, so here that is maintains the blood flow in a normal laminar way. So all these factors, so here make the so here now release of nitric oxide by endothelium. So see that this is the endothelium and this is subendothelium, and this endothelium is releasing nitric oxide. And what are the functions of nitric oxide? And due to this function of this nitric oxide, it keeps the blood in liquid form. So the first function is that is nitric oxide causes vasodilatation of the blood vessels, and due to this vasodilatation the blood flow is enhanced, and also the supply of oxygen and nutrition to the body tissues also increases. First, and second, that is nitric oxide, so here prevents the adherence or sticking of blood cells with one another, and due to this the blood flow is maintained, the second region. And the third region is that is nitric oxide, so here prevents the coagulation in a normal situation when there is no injury to endothelium. So these are the main regions by which that is release of nitric oxide by endothelium, so here makes the blood in liquid form. So these are the regions. So what are the factors making blood in liquid form? The first one is the balance between coagulation and anticoagulation processes, as coagulants and anticoagulants balance each other in a normal physiological process. Second is that a release of nitric oxide by endothelial cells, and this nitric oxide causes vasodilatation and prevents the adherence of blood cells with one another. And the third one is the proper laminar blood flow is maintained. So these are the factors so you are making blood in liquid form.